welcome to today's episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat. I'm Karen Scott Green,
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
and we have the pleasure of being joined today by Senior Master Sergeant Wanda Joell. Master Sergeant Joell enlisted in the U.S. Air Force in November of 1982. She made history as being the first African American woman to be selected to serve aboard Air Force One. All right, sister. Served a total of 4 presidents, and she was also chosen as Superintendent of First Lady Operations to manage and supervise the President's First Lady's flights. Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Sister Joelle, how did you go from enlisting in the Air Force to being on Air Force One? Please tell us about that journey.
Well, good evening, and thanks for having me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, Lord, it was nothing but the grace of God because He closed so many doors prior to joining the military. I'll back up a little bit. A flight attendant was my dream since a little girl.
Wow.
And applying for several different commercial airlines after high school. Like I said, doors was closing. Most of the major airlines was going under, laying off, and what have you. But like I said, the Lord put in my spirit to go check out the military, see what they had to offer. I kind of liked the Air Force uniform the best, but I knew they had airplanes. Air Force related it to airplanes, not knowing that they had flight attendants, but I did know they had the air crew operations going on. So it all started. That's how my journey started, joining the Air Force and later finding out that they had flight attendants.
Yeah, I didn't know that the Air Force had flight attendants
either.
either. Get the heck out of here.
I did not know at all until I went to England. I worked at the terminal and I saw those planes coming in. The young ladies and men were coming off those jets in their uniforms. I said, they got to be civilians. And when I found out they were active duty Air Force, it was on and popping.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
So what does a flight attendant in the Air Force do differently from a flight attendant on a commercial flight?
A lot more because of our passengers, of course. I mean, I was presidential, but starting with the vice president, but they get first class service. I mean, on a commercial, compared to you might get first class and get a meal if you're going out the country. But most of the times commercial, you're getting a bag of peanuts and some pretzels and maybe a cookie or something like that. Air Force One, we cook everything from scratch. They have a full meal.
Oh, wow.
Matter
so there's a full galley on board.
Yes, it's 2 full galleys with ovens and stoves, a whole kitchen.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're a chef
have to cook as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Get out of here. All right. So do you know any favorite meals of the presidents that you served? So can you say the name of the presidents that you served?
Barack.
I know I have to keep them in order. I had so many, but
praise God. Look
starting out when I first met President, and when he got elected, President Obama, he wanted a cheeseburger, just as down to earth as anybody. Just wanted a plain old cheeseburger. And the Bushes, President Bush 43, liked barbecue. Every time we flew into Texas, we always catered maybe his favorite restaurant barbecue meal back to Washington. So he liked barbecue. President Clinton, you could give President Clinton some ribs and some chicken. He was ready.
He was a foodie. He liked food. I remember that.
Yes. Yes, he did.
Remember when he used to jog in the mornings and he used to go to McDonald's when he first term in office?
Sure did. He had to cut that out after a while with his health issues.
Not only that, but it caused too much chaos in DC because they had to close down the streets and the Secret Service was trying to keep up with
too much movement to keep up with him being safe.
Yes, they knew when we were coming to town.
And what about the first Bush?
Okay, well, as long as you didn't have broccoli on board, you were good. Daddy Bush.
I remember that. That's right.
Yes,
he didn't like broccoli.
Yes, but healthy meals. It was pretty casual. Yeah, I mean, not too, we didn't have too organic. I mean, he kept it simple. Yeah.
Okay. So what was the process with you becoming a flight attendant for Air Force One? And then clarify the naming of Air Force One. So is it if he's on a Marine plane, is it Marine One and so forth? So clarify that, because some people think, it's just Air Force One.
Yeah, so like you said, Marine One, they transport the president back and forth. Once Air Force One, we will land or take, before we take off, Marine One will bring the president to Andrews Air Force Base. That was our home base. And transport him there, and then Air Force One would transport him wherever he had to go. But the process, like I said, to get the job initially, once I found out the Air Force had flight attendants, it was a big package. I had to submit a big package. Like they had to get the recommendations. I had interviews. I had to get a physical. The biggest thing was the background check.
I was about to say, they go back to when you was kindergarten.
Yeah, almost middle school. About junior high. Yeah.
What year did you start working at Air Force One? Oh,
yes. I'm sorry.
What year did you start working on Air Force One?
1990. I started flying on Air Force Two, which is the vice president, in 86. And then about 4 years later, I was an augmentee, like a part-timer on Air Force One. And then they picked me up permanently like in 92.
Wow.
Yeah. So
are you still in that position now?
No. Okay. As far as flight attendant, not on Air Force One. I did some corporate flying when I retired. And so I did a couple of years with some CEOs, CFOs in Atlanta. And then I did a couple of movie stars here in Atlanta. And then after that, because they call, before I retired, we had a lot of offers because they wanted that first class service.
Right.
No, we had the China and we had gourmet meals. So they didn't want those peanuts and pretzels. They knew Air Force One would make a spread. Yeah. Because I took Robert De Niro to the Maldives. And when I took him, I tell you, when they hired me, they gave me the card, and I went and got the first class China glasses, everything.
Listen, you better watch out about Mr. De Niro. His last wife was a black flight attendant.
Yeah, right. It was all good.
I can't with y'all. But what he like now, flight attendant? No, I'm just kidding.
His last wife was a flight.
Yeah, she was, and she was on board. So he behaved.
Okay. I'm just saying. They together now. I'm just saying.
Yes.
So was Obama?
Bobby liked a little chocolate.
That was. You're right.
Was Obama your last president? President
yes.
Obama?
Yes, he was. I was so glad I didn't retire. So I had 2 full years to fly. Did 4, but his first 2 years I was still active duty. So yes, I got to meet the Obamas, and I flew Mrs. Obama separately on the First Lady mission. So we got a chance to sit down and chat and.
Wow.
Down to earth, just nice people.
So she is down to earth?
Yes, I got a chance to talk to her. Just some different barriers and different struggles I had experienced in the military. And here I am telling her my story. And I said, you got you got the weight of the world on your shoulders. You're the First Lady of the United States. And I'm talking about just some of those trials and tribulations I went through in the Air Force. But she was very encouraging. Yeah, I was able to serve her last cup of tea, and we got a chance to chat just like we're chatting. So it was very, very nice. My last trip.
She seems like everybody's girlfriend. Like I've read two of her books that she's written. I've seen her a few times. Like in New York, I saw her here in Atlanta, when she was on tour for the books. And she just seems like she's genuinely like our kind of people.
Genuine, she's very genuine person.
Yeah. She seems like real.
Yeah, she'll have a conversation. She has the time of day. She'll have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
And President Obama was the same way. Just people person.
Really. Do you have a memory that stands out with any of your presidents and first ladies during your time as a stewardess and on Air Force One as the first African American woman? Do you have any memories that you'd like to share that stands out with your experience?
I have so many, but let me just brainstorm real quick. I can tell you I was with President Bush 43 during 9/11. That might not be a great
memory. You on the plane that got diverted?
Yeah, I was on with the president that day, yes.
Girl, you're going to have to
not like a great memory, but just to say that I was on board and was able to, the president and I embraced. Like we had a moment. Everyone has a story where they were that day. Be on board and known that we were the only plane in the air, until that happened. But we got a chance to embrace and I kind of consoled the president because I told him, and he was whispering to me something, and I said, God's got us. We're gonna be okay. And then to see F-16s flying on the side of us on the wings to escort us, the fighter
Yeah,
jet.
yeah. Oh my
I felt
God.
like my angels. I felt so protected.
Oh my
But I
Mm.
God.
would just never forget that moment. That was one of the moments. I had some good trips as well, but just the
Yeah.
in my head, 9/11, yeah.
And it makes, to me, it makes it more being a veteran and stuff. And I remember where I was on that day and the feeling of hurt of seeing the lives lost,
Right.
and to know that he felt it too, you know,
Yes, you
and
did.
that you guys were able to
Hmm.
console one another and just because you got to take it all in. Like that's so
It was a very human
overwhelming.
it was a very human moment.
Yes,
Yes, thank
yes,
you. It
Very
was a
human.
very human moment, and that speaks a lot. Thank you for sharing that because
yes,
people don't really get to see them. We see them from afar, but for you to be able to say that, and because I liked him, and in that space,
right.
um, it really means a lot because I felt like he was like taken back, like, oh my gosh, what do
Yeah.
we do? And
Yeah.
that's a lot on your plate,
Mm.
to have to deal with. And so we are all human. Presidents and so forth aren't, superheroes. They
Exactly.
have feelings too.
Exactly.
So that's good to share
Yeah.
that.
Decisions had to be made, and they had to be made quick and the right decision. So yeah.
Yes,
But like
yeah.
you said, he had that moment where I just feel like, what can I do for my country? Yeah. So
Mm, mm.
the
I
history.
would I would
Uh,
imagine that's never gonna leave you.
exactly. And the
Mm.
History Channel flew myself, some of the pilots, to New York. And
Mhm.
it's the interview still, you could probably go on demand or something. Um,
Oh,
the Secret History of Air Force One, or maybe something
yeah.
about 9/11. And they interviewed us about that day as well.
Wow.
That was pretty powerful.
All right, we're gonna have to
Yeah.
put that on so followers can chime in and watch
Yeah. You said
that.
the secret history of Air Force One?
Uh-huh. Yes. I think it was a National Geographic or maybe just the History Channel.
Oh,
Different states call it different things. So, but I'm sure if they went on demand, they could probably find that story.
Is
okay.
Air Force One a Boeing?
Yes, it is a Boeing plane, a jet. It's 747. Yes. And I
Wow.
think they're in the process of, well, every president comes in, they can do remodeling or I think it's in the works from the last president what they want to do next. So they're probably working on something new now. But the 747 is beautiful. It's a beautiful plane. So
Wow.
whatever they do to modify, remodify, it's still gonna be nice.
Okay, I know, right? I know, right? So how many so you are a flight attendant
Mhm.
with Air Force One and you are the first African American woman. I know it's probably hard. How many staff is on the plane? Because I want to know in the history of America,
Uh,
how many flight attendants flew Air Force One before you were recognized as the first African American Air Force One. And what year was that you were recognized?
I got hired, like I said, as a part time, like an augmentee in the
Sure.
early '90s,
Mm.
but permanently. But they never flew. They did fly another woman of color, but to be permanently selected and hired, I was the first one that got hired. And my boss calls it that I was the first one to get the badge. They have a
Mm,
nice Air Force One, and your numbers on it in the archives in the White House that this is the day that you were part of the crew. So
Wow.
that no one got presented that badge of color and a woman. I was the first to get selected for that. That's why I have on my website first African American woman permanently hired.
Got
okay.
Yeah.
So
So
after during your tenure, how many other African American women were there while you were there?
while I was there, two came after me during my time, and then before I left, they selected a few more. Not many, but I
Okay.
know it's the three of us for a while together.
Okay.
Wow. Get
Yeah.
out of here. And all of y'all, and so it's what, 3 to 5 people on there to do the attending, or how does that work? Because
No,
that
that's a
sounds like a lot of work.
747 jet, so that takes 10 flight attendants.
Oh,
Manage.
wow.
Yeah, it's two full galleys. You have to have six, three in each galley, so that's six, and then you have two in each aisle. So we kind of, so you saw how big that jet was. So
Right.
the front half of the airplane is two flight attendants that serve the meals and whatever, what have you, and then there's two in the rear of the airplane. So it's 10 flight attendants total.
You
And when that plane goes out the country, the president always has a backup airplane. So that's 20 flight attendants on the road. So you have
Mm.
people don't know that, but yeah, it's 10.
So how many hours, like you said, like how much time was this a normal 8 hour? How did it work for you with your
Oh,
schedule
no.
and family? Because you are still a mom.
9 to 5 was out the door. We could go if the president wants to go from here to Iraq or Iran, or we might go to Japan. So it's not an 8 hour. It's not a, I should say, a FAA regulated.
Got you. Because
So
you
you're not,
served at
yeah,
the leisure of the president.
exactly. And a lot of times I've been diverted. I'll go to California and something will come up. You not just 9/11, but we had Katrina in
Yeah.
Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
The president wants to go see the floods, or he has to, if we have some kind of attack or something on the country, he has to be there. Wherever he has to be, we can be alerted at any given time. So we have to stay close. You never know if you're going to get alerted to take the president somewhere else. So it was never a 9 to 8 hour 8 hour day. So
Are the attendants military or are some?
everyone, yes, everyone on the crew. The enlisted is the flight attendants, and we have crew chiefs. Anything break on the plane, the mechanics. We have Air Force One cops. So all of us are enlisted. The pilots are officers, Air Force officers.
Okay.
And so, for those who are interested, regarding the documentary that Master Sergeant Joell was talking about, it is The Secret History of Air Force One, and it is on the History Channel. It's a 1 hour documentary. And so if you go to imbd.com, you can find out information about it, and you probably can still watch it on historychannel.com. So
That's right. And what's
yeah.
your website?
It's WandaJoell.com. Wanda Joell with 2 L's. It's just WandaJoell.com. And they
Okay.
can find me on there, and it's a little bio, and you can see my history and the timeline of all the presidents that I flew, and tells you a little bit more. And if needed to be a speaker somewhere, it's you could fill out the forms and send it in, all that good stuff. And I'm working on my book, which should be finished this fall. Dreams in Flight. I'm so excited. It's geared
Their
Oh,
flight.
Dreams in Flight. Yes, that was my dream, to fly as a little girl. So
I
so
love it.
right now we have the website up,
okay.
and it is wandajoel.com. First African American flight attendant selected for permanent hire aboard Air Force One. And you've got some great pictures.
Yeah,
Yes.
I wanted
You
to share. Yeah, I wanted to share a few pictures. There's going to be more in I have a gallery. In the book is going to be a lot more, but yeah, I wanted to share some of the pictures so people could take a look and see some of the events that I've done, some speaking engagements, and
Can you describe some of these pictures for
yeah,
our listening audience?
I was going to say some of that's the article you see on the far right, my far right. That's Bermuda. I'm from Bermuda, and my cousin was writing about me coming back home, and she's writing a story back in the paper there. I am speaking in the yellow at my cousin's school in Texas. My son and I is with President Obama on the golf course at Andrews
What?
Space. Yeah, we got a call. He's almost on the 18th hole. Bring your son so he can meet the president. First lady, like I said, I was the superintendent of all the first lady missions. So the one above me in the yellow is 2 of us flight attendants serving one of the first ladies on the trip.
These are great pictures.
Awesome. They are beautiful pictures. And so after you said you and your son went to play golf, what other pictures are on here?
Yeah, so the picture above that, President Clinton and First Lady Hillary, I was surprised. I got promoted, and they surprised me with the stripe down that particular trip. So he was presenting me with, I want to say that was my senior Master Sergeant stripe I was getting.
Lovely.
So he patched that. He pinned it onto you, girl.
He did pin it on. He pinned
Get
it.
out of here.
I can't tell you if that was Master or Senior. I can't see that close up very quick, but that might have been my. I want to say I got step promoted to E7, so it was a stripe.
Okay.
Step means you don't have to take the test; you just given a stripe. So I was given that stripe. I was so happy.
I know you was, girl. You ain't had to take a test, girl. I am so proud of you.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. And I hope everybody goes to your website and
Yes.
check out your journey and look. And then for Career Day, bring you in and be a speaker
Right.
for these young people. So let folks know that this is what they can do. Because, you know, if they don't see it, they can't be it. And we need to start pouring into them, letting them know that there are great careers that are out there waiting on them.
Absolutely.
I love
I
that.
like to emphasize when I speak to, I did a graduation for fifth graders going into middle school, and I told them that's where it started for them to do the background check. I said, so be mindful and be careful.
Mm.
Post all this social media I didn't have back in the day. But what you say, you might just be joking and say, I'm gonna kill, I'm gonna blow up. Just those words. I said, be
Yeah.
careful later in life.
Listen, kids are losing scholarships because
Yes,
of things that they're posting online.
Mhm.
exactly.
It's very serious. Like and you have to think that once you put it out there, even if you delete it, once you put it out there, anybody could screenshot it. And just because you delete it doesn't mean that it's still not out there in the metasphere, right?
That's
Exactly.
right. You got to be responsible. It's just like I used to teach my children, don't say the word hate.
Yeah,
Say I strongly
Mm.
dislike or I dislike. Don't say hate. And now look at what happens if you say that word.
that's good. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's very powerful. So you're absolutely right. I
Yeah,
am so glad that you finally, okay, y'all.
I know.
Okay, conversations with Karen the Cat family. I've been trying to get this girl on here for over a year.
She
Yes,
stay booked and busy, baby.
it happened.
Booked and busy.
My calendar gets kind of full, and I did it. Finally, we made it happen.
That's right. That's right. So I am so glad you came and stopped by. And more importantly, oh, before I let you go, mental wellness, very important.
Mhm.
What do you do to manage your mental wellness? What is your mental practice?
Prayer and
Pray.
exercise. I love walking, and I do in the gym sort of thing. But I love to meditate when I walk. I have a little doggy, my fur baby. That's my time, and we walk a couple of miles, and it's just so refreshing.
Mhm.
Early in the mornings, that's my time to kind of
Yeah.
set it all, whatever's going on, or even at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. That's how I feel like I need to rewind and just,
Mm-hmm.
Have your
oh,
me
And
time.
we,
yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely. I love that. And your career is an inspiration. So, for those young people who might be looking at a career in the military, there are so many different avenues
yeah,
that they could pursue. And one of them could lead you to being on Air Force One
That's
as a
right.
as a part of that flight crew, flying it or being of service.
Right.
But it's a great career. How many years were you in the military?
I did 28 years total.
Go
Wow.
ahead, girl.
Almost made that
Thank you
30.
for your service.
You might as well call it 30, girl. Look.
Yes, they brought it back. If I had made cheap, it would have been 30, but they kind of wrote
Okay.
it back to 26 for E8, so I had to go.
Okay, I know that's right.
But it's all
Okay.
good. I enjoyed it. If I had to do it over again, I would. If they recall some retirees, I have my hand
You
up.
would go? Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That is awesome. Well,
Would you
thank
go back
you.
to doing Air Force One? I'm sorry,
Mm,
Karen.
I would. Oh, and yes, in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we just had
That's
our Air Force One reunion in College Station in Texas, and just to see the former crewmen, it's like a family. The people you fly
mm.
on the road so many hours together and gone from home. So it's just so good to see all the retirees, pilots, navigators, flight attendants. They came from all over. Probably 300-400 people were there.
Oh,
mm,
wow.
They just started it 2 years ago. This was our second one, and we did the Bush Library.
Hmm.
First was at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Hmm.
Air Force Museum hosted us, and we had the banquet at the museum. They closed the museum down for Air Force One, and we opened it to the public and had a panel. And we did that as well at College Station, so they could come in and meet us and ask questions. And it was right at the President Bush Library. Um,
Mm.
well, I should say museum in College Station was at the library at Wright Pat.
mm.
Do do the crew get together, the retired crew or current crew, do they get together to go to any of the funerals of like the first ladies that have passed or past presidents?
Yeah, they invite some. I know some crew members even went to President Bush 40, I get a mixed, 43, to his
Okay.
daughter's wedding. Someone were
Oh
invited
Oh,
wow.
wow.
to Jenna Barber, one of them's wedding. So yeah, you get special invites. We used
Okay.
to go down to the White House to see the fireworks in
Hmm.
Washington D.C., the Easter egg roll. So some benefits being on the crew, and they
Okay.
got invited to the Christmas parties every year. President Clinton, 8 years, I could bring a guest at the Christmas parties and get your gowns out and just to walk around the White House during that time was beautiful.
It
Wow.
must be
Yeah, I miss
fabulous.
Okay, let me ask you this. You know, we two former candidates, and we all
it.
10 toes deep in the politics. Have you ever once had the opportunity to just slide in one of your questions regarding, governance over this nation?
No, we had to keep it kind of professional.
I'm about
Okay,
to say they probably weren't allowed.
No, I
Yeah,
don't know. I mean, I know, but I mean, just a
yeah,
little
Yeah, they
bit.
probably weren't allowed.
right.
Couldn't talk anything about policy, I'm sure.
No, I wanted to do since I've retired. I did a little flying, but I worked the elections, and I just wanted to be part of that. And upcoming presidential election, I did a couple of runoffs. I've been doing it for about probably the last two
Okay.
Okay.
elections. So that's interesting, just to see
Okay.
how
Yes.
it goes down and everything, and
Mhm.
kind of feel like I'm doing my civil duty.
Okay.
I know, right? Well,
Yeah.
look, next time you get an invite,
Uh,
see if you can squeeze in a question or two. Now that you're
I'm
retired.
Now that you're
very
retired, right? Might as well.
cat.
I mean, invite. Look, we would love to have them on our love seat on Conversations with Karen and Kat. We would love to have that. So, because we have a lot of questions that we would love, and like we say, we call it a love seat from our other sister YouTuber podcasters. We call it a love seat because we do want to show love to people who come here so that they can be their authentic selves and leave some nuggets for our listeners.
I love it.
And that's really important. So if you have, Mr. Bush,
Yeah.
the other Bush,
Right.
anybody, Obama, Michelle.
Well, we're not going to say anybody because we're not
Oh,
going to say anybody.
Yeah.
yes.
Be selective.
We are selective, ma'am.
That is very true, girl. We don't play.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you definitely got to come with being authentic because we are very intentional with trying to make sure we empower people. And so I just wanted to make sure that your experience, people know that this is a job opportunity, a career opportunity for so many people. And I had no idea that flight attendants existed in the United States Air Force.
Air Force, right?
yeah.
That is awesome. Well,
I didn't even know. I tell a lot of young people the military has so much to offer. I mean, you
yeah.
can to get whatever you're interested in, even if you don't want to go straight to school, the Air Force will pay for your college. You can get that under your belt and take that with you. And
Right.
I tell them all the time, I'm benefiting from the military still as a retiree.
Wow.
We have so many things that they offer veterans, so
Okay.
you can't.
That's a show in and of itself. And Kat, don't say nothing else.
Yeah.
We just say it's a show in and of itself. We ain't gonna let Kat speak.
Okay.
Zip it, lock it, put my
Just
key in my pocket.
don't.
Okay. Don't go there, Kat.
Yeah. That's the whole other show.
What's your final words? How about that? What's your final words
Okay.
to empower our community?
Oh, well, I tell young people or tell anybody, it don't just have to be young people, anyone, follow your dreams, follow your heart. I mean, so many people told me no, but I followed my heart and I stepped out on faith, and the doors just open. So just never give up your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
It happened for me from a little girl, want to be a flight attendant. All the commercial airlines was going under, doors closing, and I waited and was patient, and I ended up on Air Force One.
Well, you have to come back when your book is released. So we would love to have you. We have author series, so keep in contact.
Okay.
Let us know when it drops so we can have that exclusive.
Keep
Thank
us
you.
up
Thanks
to
for having me.
date.
I love what y'all are doing. It was fun.
Thank you. And to our listeners, if you liked what you heard today, make sure you subscribe, comment, and share wherever you find our podcast. And as always, thank you for joining us on this episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat.
Well, we are impacting the world one conversation at a time.